happened in the first game. Carolina, for 36 minutes, was the better team on the court. But when the game got tight, as it usually does in this game, Carolina choked once again. And part of it was on the Tar Heels. You missed 17 foul shots. You're going to kick yourself in the butt. The biggest thing in this game is the thing that I thought was in the first game. Can the Tar Heels and Cole Anthony outplay Trey Jones? When he plays to the level that he played in those final 4 minutes, Duke's probably the best team in college basketball. He's going to take them as far as they're going to go. It's just that simple. As good as Vernon Carey is, and he's a grown man, Cassius Stanley is a phenomenal athlete. He's their best player. And he was that in the first game, scoring 18 straight points or whatever it was to close the game. That can't happen in Saturday night. Or you could see what happened the last time Carolina went to Cameron with an uneven record back in 2010, and the game could well be over at halftime.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that's following college basketball right now would say anything different. Trey Jones has turned into their best player, and frankly, it's not even close. I mean, Vernon Carey has had his moments where he's been really good, but especially down the stretch, you can see that Trey Jones is starting to take over. And I think that this time, with Cole Anthony feeling more confident, being a little healthier, we're going to get a much different matchup between these two guys than we saw in the first one, because I feel like Cole is going to step it up on the defensive end even more than we've seen over these last couple of games. This is going to be personal because we talked about it the last time. Just from an unbiased perspective, if you look at the way the two guys played in that last game, Trey Jones was the better player on the floor that night. I think that Cole Anthony's going to want to prove that that's not going to happen this time around. And, yeah, inside, I'm going to be interested to see how they can handle Garrison Brooks because, again, in the middle of conference season, I think it was sort of I don't know about a confidence thing for Garrison. I don't think it was that he wasn't confident in himself. I think it was more the fact that he just felt like just about every other guy on this roster felt something is going to go wrong. They were waiting for something to happen, and eventually it did. That's not the mindset that they have now, and that's definitely not the mindset that Garrison Brooks has now. It's going to be a lot more interesting this time around because how is Duke going to be able to contain a guy in Garrison Brooks that we've seen over the past couple of years begin to extend his range a little bit more, and down the stretch here this season has gotten a lot more aggressive. The key for Garrison is going to be, we've seen it the last few games, he's gotten to the line double-digit times. He's probably going to do the same in this game against Duke. The last time that we played them, earlier this season, he didn't shoot well at the foul line at all. He has to be better in this game because he's going to have opportunities at the foul line. And he's been he's been shooting a lot better from the line as of late, so there's no reason to believe he won't. But that's just one of the things that's going to happen if Carolina is going to pull this out. But I think that the fact that we're sitting here even talking about the possibility that Carolina can win this game is amazing because, I mean, before this 3-game win streak, there was almost no one picking Carolina to have a chance in this game. We were pretty much saying, the rivalry will probably keep this game close, but if we're being honest, this is a team that could potentially get run off the floor like that 2010 team that lost by 32. So, I think that this team is just I mentioned it on the recap in the Wake Forest game. I think I may have even mentioned it in the preview of the Wake Forest game. These guys have just not given up, and it is finally paying off for them. And now that they've gotten that monkey off their back of that 7-game win streak, they are feeling it, and I think there's a reason going into this game on Saturday that Tar Heel fans should not only be confident, they should be extremely confident that Carolina can come out and find a way to turn the tides on Duke from the last game and get a win.
Yeah, I mean, if they do the little things well that they've been doing the last couple games, be reversed from what they did against Duke the first time. They turned it over 18 times. Duke converted that to 25 points. That's the most Carolina has allowed off their turnovers this season. Carolina shot 38 foul shots. That was the season high. But they also missed 17, which is also a season high. If they can limit that and shoot the ball well, they shot 52% against Duke the first time. It became only the 8th time that Carolina lost under Roy Williams. They shot 50% or better in a game. Then you got to feel good about yourselves because of you should have won the first time. I know it's going to be in their building, and it's the game's always a lot tougher there than it is in your own gym. But you can at least know that for 36 minutes you can play with these guys. And Cole Anthony made the comment after the Wake Forest game that is getting a little criticism because it was kind of a ridiculous statement that they're a top 10 team right now. The way they're playing, when you're 13 and 17, you probably shouldn't say that. But it was really just a testament to the confidence that they feel, because that's what one win can do. And then one win turned into 2 wins, and 2 wins turned into 3. A lot like how the losses have snowballed on this team this year, the wins can string together, and now they have to. Or you're not going to be doing anything in March, whether it's in the NCAA tournament or the NIT. And we have stressed the refusal to quit and the refusal to give in, because if they would have, you couldn't blame them. You lost 6 one-possession games in a month. You hadn't done that at all in the last 9 years combined. No one would have faulted you if you would have quit. But Roy Williams still showed up every day to practice, motivated, energized, and the team has fed off of that. And it's like Roy Williams said after senior night celebration on Tuesday. They're not finished yet. They've still got this game, and they've got an ACC tournament to go play. So you can tell that there is this sense of belief that if there's a team that can do it, can go into Cameron and win with this record, it's the Tar Heels. If there's a team that can go to Greensboro and win 5 games in 5 days, Carolina's probably the best odds to do that. And it makes it easier when you've got Garrison Brooks, a top 5 individual point guard talent in college basketball. You've got the big man in Garrison Brooks inside that's going to give Vernon Carey everything he can handle. You add in the improved shooting from Brandon Robinson and what Christian Keeling's doing. Leaky Black seems to show up in these kind of games, had 9 assists the first time. You can see a pathway to winning this game. As you mentioned 3 weeks ago, we probably didn't think that was going to be possible.
Yeah, one of the interesting comparisons that I was kind of thinking of, and I went back and looked at it, I wonder if this game will kind of be similar to the 2012 season finale in Cameron Indoor Stadium. Again, much different circumstances. That was an ACC regular season on title on the line, and a Carolina team that many thought could win the national championship, of course, before Kendall Marshall was down in the wrist with the wrist injury in the NCAA tournament in the game against Creighton, and then, of course, we know what happened from there. But that was, of course, you remember what happened the first time. Austin Rivers shot, we won't go through all of that. But I wonder if that kind of feeling will be here in this game. We had a chance to win the game. They ripped our hearts out. Now we are going to come out with extra motivation, and we'll see if they're ready for us. And I feel like that could be the same kind of game. I'm not seeing, the final score of that regular season finale in 2012, Carolina won 88-70. I'm not seeing that. But I think that Carolina will come out with extra motivation. I could see them scoring in the high 80s, low 90s again because they're feeling confident with the basketball, especially Cole Anthony. And I think that, if Carolina can feed off of what happened in that last game, being so close at a time where you probably shouldn't have been that close because you were nowhere near fully healthy and you were definitely the less talented team on the floor that night. And to come that close and just fall short, if you can use that as motivation in this game, I think you can find a way to beat a team in Duke that, as you talked about, you said it at the start of the podcast, a team in Duke that really isn't playing all that well at all. Even the other night against State, they ended up coming back to win relatively big, but it took them a while to get going. This is a team that right now is struggling at a time where they really don't need to be struggling. So it'll be interesting. I think Carolina definitely should feel confident going into this game because as of right now, we talked about it when we were leading up to the Wake game. And even after the Wake game, this is the one team that right now everybody in the ACC tournament is hoping they can avoid. They're just hoping somebody ends up beating them early because if they have to play them, it's not going to be anywhere close to the type of game that they likely played against Carolina earlier in the year.
Yeah, it's a different team, and it's for the better. We've seen them more literally into a team. They're playing team ball, and when Carolina is playing Carolina basketball, they can play with anybody, anywhere, at any time, and that's the challenge they have ahead of them when they travel to Cameron on Saturday to meet everything that is demanded of winning a game in that environment. And I think the comparison 2012 is interesting. I would probably lean more to that 2016 win there where you just had to gut it out because we lost at home that year too in a heartbreaking fashion where Joel Berry had the shot blocked. Couldn't even get a shot off and have a chance to win the game at the buzzer. Nonetheless, I don't care how they find a way to do it as long as they do it. And it's going to come as to no surprise considering this is a Tar Heel podcast. I'm going to pick Carolina to win the game. But there's also a little bit more reasoning behind that. They are playing a lot better. I do think Cole Anthony, although he put up a double-double in the first matchup, the first Tar Heel freshman since Kendall Marshall to post a double-double against Duke, will take what Trey Jones did in the final 4 minutes and overtime personal and want to try to meet that level of greatness and surpass it. This is the last time for Brandon Robinson to play in this building and try to get a win. And I also think Garrison Brooks has turned into a leader. And not something we thought was ever going to happen whenever he stood on campus. A lot of everything that he's turned to we never thought would happen. I think he will want to try to, whenever you kind of get the Luke May thing where if he goes there and puts up 28 and 15, well, it's not, he did it against NC State. No, he did it against Duke too in Cameron. And I think you're going to see a great game from him and just see Carolina continue to play well and win a game that will once again prove why this rivalry is the greatest. And then hopefully we're on Franklin Street celebrating, yelling, screaming in some big old mosh pit.
Yeah, I think we will be too. I'm going to pick Carolina in this game. I really like the matchup of Garrison Brooks against Vernon Carey. I know that Vernon Carey is considered probably one of the top prospects if he ends up coming out in this draft. But I just think that Garrison Brooks is, like you said, turned into a leader, just continues to work on expanding every aspect of his game. And I feel like this is one of those games where he had a chance to sort of take over the game at the foul line in the first game and couldn't do it for Carolina. This game will be a lot different. I also think that Cole Anthony will be a guy that we'll be talking about as well when we recap this game, probably maybe Saturday night when we get back, or if not, then we'll do it on Sunday. But I think that'll be another guy that we'll definitely be talking about because, he's playing with so much confidence now. He's starting to hit those tougher shots that we were used to say, well, you can't take those shots because they're just not going. Now they are going, and especially down the stretch. I feel like that's where, it might be the reverse of what we saw when they played